When you come from these small towns, you exactly don't know how to make it big in big towns. Don't move towards a marketing career unless you've done sales, because office politics will always be there in every company. Today, the product managers are making everything in digital. So digital has taken over pharma quite a bit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the BigSmall Talk. Today we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Rohit Gulati, Director of Marketing, Johnson&Johnson. Hello, sir.
Hi Anirudh, how are you?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Great, sir. So this podcast we have designed actually to find out the stories which the leaders have and how they have made it big from the small steps they have taken in their life. So starting the podcast, I would like to know your story and how you made it big to come to where you are today.
Thanks so much, Anirudh, for inviting me to this talk, first of all, and thanks to the entire team. Well, Anirudh, I come from a very small town, and I come from a place called Kanpur. This is, you can say it's a tier 2 city, and this is in Uttar Pradesh, right in the central part, close to central part of India.
Yeah.
And coming from these places, it's you learn to do a lot of hard work, right? So small town guys generally are hardworking guys. So I, when I was in my class 10th, my class 12th, there were only two streams at that point in time. So there was either medicine, you can go into medicine, or you could go into engineering, right? Today, I believe there are many streams where students make their careers in, right? And new streams have sprung up. So coming from small town, you know, we all had big dreams. We wanted to make it big in the corporate industry, right? However, we did not know the way, right? When you come from these small towns, you exactly don't know how to make it big in big towns. So that was the entire journey which I had to face very early in my career. And it was not an easy journey. I did not qualify for medicine at that point in time. I was in the waiting list. So the only way out was to try and do something new. And trying something new was also a big fear at the back of my mind. But I think
Yeah.
uh, at that point in time, pharmacy was not very well known, right? So I entered the stream of pharmacy. Uh, it was not known very well at that point in time. Not many people knew the career prospects after pharmacy. So after pharmacy is when we started looking at where to enter the industry, right? And is it with an MBA, without an MBA? What's the best way to enter inside the industry? Right. So that's how we looked at the industry at that point in time without anybody guiding us. Right.
Yeah.
Today, I believe all of you have many people guiding you, but at that point in time, we had very less people guiding us, and we used to see other people. We used to find out more to understand what is the right way of moving up inside the industry. Right. So I finally entered the healthcare industry after doing an MBA, and that's where my career journey inside the healthcare started. I started with medical devices, then went into pharmaceuticals, and I've had a good mix of career up till now.
Great to hear that, sir. The thing is, like, there are disruptors, and this word is very common in our era. But I believe the disruption actually happened when people like you have taken the decision to do what needs to be done, and that's how the world changed actually. So my first question for this will be, what is your thought process when you venture into new projects? So you have accomplished a lot of projects in your life, and certainly there would have been projects where you had some hesitation into getting in, and you had that a little bit of fear, if I may say. So
Yeah.
what is your thought process when you venture into new projects?
See, when we enter into new projects, one of the things which we look at is from a big picture perspective is what's the challenge about, right? So how big is the challenge? We would like to take up assignments which are which are big in challenge, where which tests us, which tests our capabilities, and how big the team is, right? What's the turnover of the company? What's the brand, right? At the end of the day, it's about working with big brands, right? So how big the brand is, what's the PSIs in terms of skills, in terms of people inside the industry, is that company known for good products, right? So we look at this mix when we have to take a call on projects, and it's very important to look at it holistically, right? So that you are able to take the right call.
Correct. Great, sir. So one more thing, since you have mentioned that pharma was not a very popular sector when you were like getting into the field. So what is the evolution? Like we all hear about various kinds of technical evolutions, if I may say. But what I want to hear is how has the pharma industry, particularly in India, has evolved and it has come to, you know, the level which it is at right now.
See, the pharma industry has evolved by leaps and bounds up till now. You remember the time when the pharma industry used to talk about medical representatives visiting them. There used to be a big line outside the chamber of doctors. You know, today pharma industry has grown technologically. So you have reps talking about their products through laptops, through iPads, right? And technology has sunk in very deeply inside the pharma industry.
Correct.
Also, the pharma industry has grown in terms of sales effectiveness, right? Gone are the days you used to have a big line of reps outside. Today, you don't find that, right?
Yes.
A lot of interaction has gone from physical meetings to virtual meetings, right? And it's all about effectiveness. How do you increase effectiveness at the ground using technology, right? So that's very important in pharma. And pharma, I think even the product managers in marketing have started thinking out of the box today. There was a time they used to detail through detailing aids, which was a physical detailing aid. Today, the product managers are making everything in digital. So digital has taken over pharma quite a bit. More so after COVID, you know, things have accelerated
Yes.
really further from a digital perspective. So I think pharma has done really well in terms of digital adoption, new technology adoption, even in areas like virtual reality, augmented reality. They have grown really fast.
Correct. So one more important element, as you have mentioned already, it's the adoption part. And adoption comes when the customers have the right awareness and they have, you know, the necessary trust in the brand. So how are organizations basically working to increase that awareness and, you know, generate that trust so that the customers adopt this medtech, the new evolving field?
Yeah, so awareness is very important in medical technology, right? And there are various ways you can make the awareness very high in the surgeons, right? And one of the ways which we do it is through conferences, right? Before the product actually comes in, we have prototypes already available. And these global conferences actually have a big role to play in getting these prototypes, getting the surgeons talk about these prototypes, showing them the prototype, right? And showing them the features of the product. So I think these prototypes of products in MedTech have gone a long way. And today they played a big role right in the beginning. Then you have these demonstrations in MedTech, right? Demonstrations play a big role, whether they do it inside the operation theater or they do it outside. They bring a lot of awareness about the product, right? And without using the product in MedTech, the surgeon is actually not able to understand how to use a product. So it's very important to make the surgeon use the product inside the operation theater, right? So that's the part of the entire awareness process, right? Digital, if you are a niche product in the medtech sector, digital is very, very critical. You need to use digital technologies to make sure that you make your target customer aware about your product, right? We also have something called as advisory boards. As advisory boards are used a lot inside medtech sector to make aware the surgeons about upcoming products or technologies which are yet to get launched. So they also play a big role.
So, since you have talked about technology, uh, how is the general consensus among different governments? I would like to ask that point as well, because since slowly the technology is evolving, and how are the governments becoming more adaptive and receptive to new technologies? They are able to permit organizations and maybe the stakeholders involved to go ahead and venture out into these new fields. So, particularly in the R&D department, if I may say. So R&D, how they are allowing, how the Indian government is allowing the development.
So, see, the Indian government has launched under the Modi government one of the biggest campaigns, which is Make in India.
Yeah.
Now, under Make in India, they are looking at local companies, right? Because India has a high reliance on import.
Yes.
When I say high reliance on import, around 80 to 85% of medical devices are imported.
Correct.
Right. So that's why this campaign was launched in India. So Make in India was a campaign by the Modi government to make sure that we have more indigenous products, more local products coming up, so that the sector is able to utilize the Indian expertise. And we have quality products. We have seen it in COVID time, right?
Yes.
We had PPE which were locally made. We had a lot of COVID vaccines which were all locally made, which India utilized, right? So India can produce a lot of local stuff, a lot of local drugs, a lot of local medtech products, and we have skilled labor as well. Now, the only problem is that since 80-85% reliance is on import, the MNCs actually pay a lot of money in their R&D, right?
Yes.
To produce these products, right? So MedTech and Pharma is all R&D extensive, right? That means there's a lot of money put inside R&D to come out with such products. Now that's a problem because most of the MNCs need to protect themselves, because at the end of the day, the cost of the product which comes inside India has the R&D cost involved, right? So that's a discussion which is an ongoing discussion with the Indian industry as well as MNCs and the government, all three combined together. And we are trying to come to a consensus where there is equal participation, right? So there is equal participation between the MNCs, there's equal participation in terms of a percentage proportion, in terms of for the local products as well as Indian products, right? So I think that striking the balance is important. We should not say that products from MNCs should be lowered down beyond a point, because then we will not be able to provide a lot of new innovation inside the market, and new products will not reach the patient, because at the end of the day, it's all about patient benefit.
Correct.
And new products actually help a lot in terms of saving lives, in terms of helping patients recover faster. Right. So I think the government needs to understand this point of view and then take a balanced approach.
True, sir. Very well said. And since we are from an outsider perspective, we often miss out what actually is happening on the field. And you coming from a very extensive experience directly being involved in the pharma industry. So can you share some anecdotes where, which reassures how the technology is being implemented, and so that our viewers also understand that there is actually things happening around, and, the ball is continuously rolling and India is on the right path, at least in the pharma sector?
You mean to say technology is getting implemented?
Yes, yes, sir.
How is the technology getting implemented?
Yeah.
Okay. So Anirudh, see the technology, whether it's in pharma, I'll talk about pharma first, and then we can go to medtech.
Sure.
In pharma, the technology is very, very cost intensive, as I mentioned. There's a lot of money which goes inside creating even a single pharma pill. There are a lot of clinical trials behind those products coming inside India, right? Or for that matter, any part of the country, right? You need to understand that after 4 5 years of clinical trials, the products generally come out, right? And a lot of products don't even see the sunlight, right? A lot of products are in the clinical trials are dropped off, right? So that is where the challenge lies. That the technology research is very, very high, and it's very, very time consuming as well, right? So scientists working in these R&D centers do not come out with products right in a year's time or 2 years time. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort for them to come out with products. And when they come out with such products, it's important to understand that they cannot come to market also immediately, right? So there is a full go-to-market plan which is made. There is pricing which is done. There is packaging which is done, right? The right packaging is important. And then there are regulatory guidelines on top of it, right? So every country has its own regulatory guidelines for drugs to come inside their own market, right?
Yes.
So it's very important to adhere to these regulatory guidelines as well before they come in, right? And once everything is done, then you can launch it in the India market. Obviously, looking at the price of the product, there is a certain price which is built in inside the product,
Yes.
right? So which is called as your landing cost, right? So once you have your landing cost, you are able to then sell the product.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for that useful insight, because definitely our viewers would have gained a lot of knowledge about how everything is put into action in the pharma industry. Coming to a very personal side, so I have gone through your profile and I find variety of interests that you have, and one of the key interests which I found was storytelling. And you have actually mentioned that storytelling is an activity, and you have to be engaged in it, because there are stories which inspire you more than any book or any knowledge which you can get. So I do want your insight and any inspirational story which you have that would help us also get inspired this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the stories I'm very inspired by is the story of Michael Phelps. He's an American swimmer, Olympian swimmer who got 28 medals, and out of which 23 medals were gold medals.
Yes.
And I really feel inspired by this guy. Now look at this guy. He broke all records in terms of swimming, right? Whether it was 400 meters, 800 meters, right? He broke all records, and he used to work out daily, right? And there was a lot of perseverance and hard work which this guy taught me, right? And if you look at his story is about going to the swimming pool every single day. So he used to practice on every single day, right? It was whether it was a cold day, whether it was a rainy day, um, any day, right? He used to go and practice. So it's very important to do that hard work, because you won't get anything of significance in life if you are not able to work hard. So that's very important. Two, he had a good support system, right? So it's important to have that kind of support system as well, whether it was in the form of his mother, in the form of his coach. If you look at his story, his coach was phenomenal. So try and get a coach in your career. It's very important to have a good coach who can guide you, right? And for example, I certainly have a coach who I look at when I have to make a career decision, right? So get a coach, very important. And this guy has his up and down, right? He actually went through a turmoil in his life as well. How did he come out of that turmoil? And when you are right at the bottom, how do you pick yourself up? and again go and win a medal, right? So that is something which this guy taught me, and a lot of things can be applied to the corporate life, right? All these things can certainly be applied to the corporate life, because in corporate life as well, you have your ups and downs. Sometimes you need to pick yourself up and say, no, I'm going to, with all the pressures around, I'm going to succeed. And you need to persevere. Sometimes you will not get everything on a platter. Sometimes you will not get all the growth and all the promotions which you want right in front of you, but then you have to persevere, right?
Yes.
You have to be at it. So I think it's a story of grit and determination, which I certainly love.
True, sir. And what you said is actually very correct, because you have to have, parallels drawn, and you have to have a coach with you. So talking about from a corporate perspective, you have been a leader since a long time, and you would have managed a lot of different teams who come with different expectations. So how did you tackle the different expectations among your team? And because it would have required certain changes from your end to be made on a personal level, as well as to communicate it to them. What you expect from them. How did you
Yeah.
tackle this?
See, I think we have a diverse workforce today,
Yeah.
and it's important to understand what motivates each of them, right? So when you're managing a large team, it's very, very important to understand uh, will motivate one person will not motivate the other person, right? So the triggers, the motivations is very, very important to know, right? And it's very important to build a cohesive team which works together, enjoys together, and small successes are celebrated inside the team. That's very, very critical. So I made it a point that we need to first get the team together, cohesiveness,
Correct.
right, and then probably look at pushing their limits, right? But if you push their limits without building a team, without enjoying it together, the team would crack off,
True.
right? So that's the mantra, that you need to keep team motivated. That's very, very important. And you can only motivate the team once you know what are the trigger points, what motivates each one of them. And the communication style which I have with each teammate is very, very different.
Yeah.
For example, I would talk to you in a certain way, I would talk to the next person in some other way, because I know what motivates you will not motivate them,
Correct.
right? So that's very, very important. And today teams are looking for challenges, teams are looking for personal growth. It's very, very important to understand that personal growth is very, very critical for teams today, right? If a leader is not able to address personal growth, for example, right, they will never stay with that leader. They will actually go to some other leader or some other company, right? So it's very important, personal growth, purpose, everything, and getting those small victories for them, putting them on the forefront rather than you being on the forefront, right? Let them win, because their win makes you win, right? So that's very, very important.
Very well said, sir, again. And from an individual's perspective, as I mentioned earlier also, you have your own doubts, and there are often times when you might not get the right support as well. So how did you, if any moment you had in your life where you had a self-doubt and you tackled it yourself? And what did you do specifically, to come over that situation?
Yeah, we all have our doubts, I think. And we have our doubts, especially in the early parts of our career, when we have started out, and you have probably some meetings or some managers who told you initially that, you might not be able to make it big. Or you've had those conversations, which are called as difficult conversations, right? And you then start doubting yourself. So it's very important to strengthen your self-belief, and there will be people around you who would try to put you down. So it's very important that you remove these negative influences, right? And this doubt comes generally from these negative influences who do not want to let you grow, who have seen that this guy is a threat, right? And this guy has a talent inside him, and this guy is going to grow, right? So But you don't understand. You're a young guy in the corporate life, and you don't understand office politics, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to identify and know office politics, because office politics will always be there in every company, right?
Correct.
There will always be negative guys inside every company who would want to put you down. But if you are talent, if you are a talent, and if you believe inside yourself that you are a talent, you will grow, right? Irrespective of all these things around you. So it's very important that you believe in yourself. So the first thing which I wanted to get inside myself was that, yes, I do believe in myself that I can grow. Then you will also find a sector of people who believe in yourself. So you'll find some friends and some peers will say, I believe in you, and I'm very sure you will grow very fast. Get on to these people, cling on to these people, right? They are your well-wishers, and these are the people who will help you really grow in your life. And talk positive to yourself, right? There are, sometimes, you will see a lot of professionals who talk to themselves, right? It's very important to talk to yourself, especially those pep talks. You need to give it to yourself so that you stay positive all the way, right? Because it's your journey. It's all who you are at the end of the day, and it is you who would make a difference. So you have to be confident. You have to be motivated internally, and for that, do whatever it takes to get you happy and get you pepped up.
Great, great advice, sir. And I'm sure it will definitely help all our viewers. It definitely will help me, I'm sure about that. And one more thing I noticed in your career trajectory is that you made a very quick transition from sales to marketing, which is a very, burning debate, I would say, in the corporate world, which is what sales is what and marketing is what. So as a budding marketeer, and I also enjoy the field pretty much. So I do want to understand what were the key differences you felt when you moved from sales to the marketing domain, and if there were no differences, then how similar do you believe are these two functions?
Yeah. So first things first, sales is important, right?
Correct.
And that is something which I tell everybody, that don't move towards a marketing career until unless you've done sales, because sales will teach you about the way the company or the organization functions. Sales will teach you how the ground reality is, what the ground reality is, how things work at the ground, how the distribution structure works. It's very important to learn those realities before moving towards marketing.
Yeah.
And a career in marketing uh, is all about designing a lot of strategies, right? So I'll start with marketing and then get inside sales. Uh, for a marketeer, you need to be really good at strategic thinking. Uh, Very, very important. Without strategic thinking, you will not be able to make your plans, right? And obviously, you have to be connected to sales, as I mentioned.
Yes.
Number two, marketeers need to see the big picture. Sometimes unsuccessful marketeers are not able to see those small things which can make the big picture.
Yeah.
And connect the dots, right? So it's important that marketeers need to see big picture and always keep sales, the sales heads or the sales team engaged through your conversations,
Yeah.
because you would get to know a lot of small nuggets through the sales teams. So it's important that you know it, and you have circle around with them before you make anything, right? So that's very, very important. Sales, on the other hand, some of the qualities of the sales guys are perseverance, patience, right? You need to hit your targets, so you need to be performance driven, right? So very important that moving from sales to marketing, cultivate the strategic mindset. I think that is the single most thing which distinguishes sales and the marketing guy, is that they don't have a strategic thinking mindset. If you are a strategic thinker, then you are best fit as a marketer, right? And if you are a guy who loves to work on the ground, who loves to travel, who loves numbers, who loves performance, who can persevere a lot in terms of numbers. Sometimes sales guys are not achieving those numbers, so you have to persevere, and you have to face a lot of discussions inside the company that why you're not able to achieve your numbers. So if you're able to enjoy what you do in sales, and sales sometimes can become monotonous, right?
Yes.
So there are guys who can enjoy sales really well, right? But if you want to move inside marketing, cultivate a mindset which is more of strategic thinking. I would say that that would make you move the career from sales to marketing.
Great, great advice, sir. And it will definitely help our audience who comprises a lot of B school students, and they would definitely get a better clarity of where to go for. As we end our podcast, I do want to have like one advice for myself and one advice so that our audience also understands what is that one thing which might act as a pivoting element in your life. So, since you have had a very extensive experience, I do want to know that.
See, one thing which I have had as a pivoting experience, or something which has helped me pivot every time I wanted to pivot, is having a growth mindset. Now, why this is very important, growth mindset is all about getting up after failing. Growth mindset is all about thinking the big picture. Growth mindset is all about connecting the bigger dots. Growth mindset is all about saying that I need to learn more. So you are a lifelong learner,
Yeah.
right? Growth mindset is all about how can I improve as a leader. If you are ready to walk this path of growth mindset, you will see that opportunities will come to you rather than you running after opportunities. And I think that has been a critical thing in my career, that I always looked at everything from with a growth mindset, that if I don't know something, I'm going to learn, right? And leaders need to keep learning. It's very important. A lot of leaders say that we know everything, and we don't want to learn. Now that's a fixed mindset, and that's very bad for your growth. And if you want to achieve further milestones in your life, it's very important to look at uh, uh, everything around you with a growth mindset. Things are changing very fast, for that matter. If you look at after COVID, digital has come in. How many leaders are digitally native today, right? Not many. So there's a lot to learn, right? And we are in a VUCA environment, truly VUCA environment today, right? In fact, the new word which has been now coined is Bani environment, right? So, we are in that environment where a lot of things are changing very, very fast. So how do you make your business models in such an environment? And that can only happen if you have a growth mindset, right? So if you experiment, right, it's okay to fail, right, as leaders, but as long as you learn from each and every experiment and you're able to replicate every successful experiment, that is what matters, right? So it's very important that all of us walk that path of growth mindset if you have to be very successful in any career, for that matter, right? Not only in our industry, but for that matter in any industry.
Thank you so much for that advice again, sir. Because I do believe that you have to have that change and the evolving mindset in you, so that you excel whatever field you want to get in. So this marks the end of our podcast, and I was truly grateful for your acceptance of our invite and giving us so much useful information and so much anecdotes which you have shared. So thank you for that, sir, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anirudh. I hope you guys enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Definitely, sir. We did.
Thank you.